Okay, so welcome to the first session on Crash Course. How we are going to go about Crash Course now? In fact, those students who are there already, I have told them that they should have previous year questions every day when they come here. And you guys also who are watching me online should keep previous year question booklet with you. Okay, because we are going to be very objective while discussing those topics. And I am going to give you very important frameworks that are going to help you solve most of the questions, okay, from those respective units. For example, let us begin with our discussion on unit 1 today. Okay, if you look into the syllabus of unit 1, sociology the discipline, the first aspect is related to modernity and social changes in Europe, along with emergence of sociology. Okay. Now what do we have to do? First we will understand social changes in Europe. Okay, आजो. आप यहाँ बैठ जाना आगे. First we will understand social changes in Europe. Now, once you have understood social changes, trust me, game over. Because सोशियोलॉजी सोशल चेंज से निकला है और कुछ भी नहीं है सोशियोलॉजी में. ठीक है, अब मैं आपको सोशल चेंज का एक आइडिया बताता हूँ एंड देन विल डिस्कस मॉडर्निटी एज वेल. पहले हमें क्या ध्यान रखना है? देयर वाज अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इन दिस वर्ल्ड, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, जब कोई नहीं था तब वही था, मतलब जब भगवान की बात जब करते हैं. ठीक, सो दोज वर डार्क एजेस, बट वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट डार्क एजेस. We are going to talk about middle age Europe. Okay. Middle ages. But middle ages is not what modernity is all about. Modernity तो उसके बाद आई. But we should have starting point. Okay. Just to keep things in our mind for reference, middle ages was a time which was pre-1300 in Europe. Just think like this. Pre-1300 was Middle Age. But what happened after this? First, Renaissance. Renaissance. Now this is the most boring word. Okay, people do not know the meaning of Renaissance. Sometimes people think Renaissance and Enlightenment are same. ये सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत. Renaissance means what? Literal meaning of Renaissance is rebirth. Now the question is rebirth of who? नहीं, society का. Rebirth of man. Rebirth of man. अब ये biological rebirth नहीं है. ठीक है. Rebirth of man means what? You know, today we take fundamental rights for granted. Everybody has right to say whatever he or she wants to. That means man-centric world we are living in today. Okay, individual can do whatever he or she likes. Individual choice, individual privacy, all those things. But there was a point of time when individuals did not used to exist. And what used to exist was a state system or caste structure. Structures used to exist, man, individuals or women did not used to exist. What does it mean? It means that individual man did not have any say. So Renaissance was nothing but the rebirth of that individuality. Okay, rebirth of individuality. The question is, ये कहाँ से आया? We don't have to go into those details. For your reference, I'll just tell you, we are highly indebted to Greek literature for the rebirth of individuality. Greek were the first people to talk about democracy. हम बोलते हैं ना, ग्रीक और एथेनियन डेमोक्रेसी की हम बात करते हैं सबसे पहले, यानी वहां शुरू हुआ था डिस्कोर्स. प्लेटो अरिस्टोटल कहाँ के लोग हैं? वहीं से उन्होंने डायलॉग शुरू किए थे. दैट मीन्स इंडिविजुअल्स केम इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस विद प्लेटो अरिस्टोटल. बट वो नहीं करना. रेनेसा हमें बस ध्यान रखना है, व्हाट वाज द कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ रेनेसा? वन थिंग ओनली रिमेंबर, ओनली वन थिंग, ह्यूमनिज्म. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ ह्यूमनिज्म? मैन सेंट्रिक वर्ल्ड. बात खत्म. मैन सेंट्रिक वर्ल्ड. ओके, नाउ व्हाट आफ्टर रेनेसा? आफ्टर रेनेसा comes साइंटिफिक रेनेसा, जिसको साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन बोलते हैं लोग. ओके, साइंटिफिक रेनेसा, which means साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन. अब बताओ, नाउ द वर्ल्ड इज मैन सेंट्रिक वर्ल्ड, so the man is challenging gods. Man is challenging gods now. Who were those men who challenged gods and priestly class and the state system or their explanation of the natural world? People like Galileo Galilei, Newton, Kepler, Copernicus. ये लोग कौन थे? These were those people who challenged priestly classes' explanation of how the world or nature is governing itself. Priestly class used to tell everyone that in the world we have, at the center of the world we have earth. इन्होंने बोला तुम पागल हो, तुम्हें कुछ नहीं आता. So the scientists challenged priestly classes. They then forwarded theories like, instead of geocentric, they talked about heliocentric world. In order to explain the motion of planets, they talked about laws of planetary motion. So laws, the idea of laws are developing now. Okay, so religion is not explaining how nature is governing. It is the scientific temper of that individual जो पैदा हुआ रेनेसा में, जो बता रहा है दुनिया को. Scientific रेनेसा. Scientific revolution gave us what? It gave us rationality and scientific temper. Rationality and scientific temper. Rational man, reasonable man, someone who is going with logic, not just listening to someone, passively obeying him and thinking, yes, okay, earth is at the center, not even questioning anyone. Okay, and what happened after this? After this we talk about, after scientific revolution we talk about scientific revolution of the social world, which we call as enlightenment. Okay, enlightenment. What was enlightenment? Enlightenment was nothing. Enlightenment simply means जो social world है ना हमारा, वो सन प्लैनेट्स बहुत हो गया अभी जहां हम रहते हैं जिस दुनिया में अंदर, इसमें some people are ruling and they are ruling in the name of religion. The question is, if those people who were ruling in the name of religion, if they have been proven wrong, on their explanation of how nature governs itself, then they can also be proven wrong on how society should govern itself. They used to think, priestly class, that society should be run by king, the absolute monarch. There is a Victorian hymn, okay, Victorian hymn, which says that no, the God is someone who has created this world. God is someone who has created this world. And the man is at the gate of that king who has been instructed by the God to rule over the masses. So king at the castle, man at his gates. God made them high and lowly and ordered their estates. So the first estate belongs to who does? First estate, second estate, third estate. ये जो 3 estate का system है. This is something that enlightenment people worked on. कि अब नहीं चलेगा ये system. Okay. And from enlightenment, we got ideas like, first idea that we got, important, is democracy. Democracy. Second idea that we got, democracy means king should not be ruling us anymore in the name of religion. So now they are questioning religion. That means the idea of secularism is also coming in now. That state should be free from religion. Third idea that we got from enlightenment was about free speech. Free speech. Earlier what used to happen? If you would say anything against priestly class or against God, because if you say anything against priestly class, that is interpreted as speaking against God. So you were charged blasphemy. तो वो सब हट गया. Free speech का आया. Voltaire. I may not agree with what you have to say, but I shall defend till my death whatever you want to say. Okay. Free speech. एनलाइटनमेंट से हमें ये 3 सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट आइडियाज मिलते हैं. एंड ऑफ कोर्स द ग्रोथ ऑफ साइंसेस, जिसका साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन से बहुत बड़ा लिंक है. तो साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन वाज वर्किंग टू नो द नेचर इन अ साइंटिफिक मैनर. एनलाइटनमेंट वाज अप्लाइंग द सेम rationality and scientific temper to fix the anomalies in the social world. Okay. Now we can of course mention some important scholars of each era. For example, enlightenment की जब हम बात करते हैं, the most important scholar, the first and foremost important scholar that comes to our mind is Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. Okay. Hobbes and Locke. Then Rousseau. Then Voltaire. Then there is another enlightenment which we call as Scottish enlightenment. Scottish. ये पता नहीं होगा कईयों को. स्कॉटिश एनलाइटनमेंट का ही वो आदमी है जिसका नाम है एडम स्मिथ. एडम स्मिथ जो आता है सडनली तुम सोचते हो कहां से आ गई, वो एक्चुअली इधर ही है, वो बस उसको लोग बताते नहीं है. ही बिलोंग्स टू स्कॉटिश एनलाइटनमेंट पीरियड. ओके. Everyone, each one of them has suggested one or the other thing टू मेक द सोशल वर्ल्ड बेटर। एडम स्मिथ ने क्या बोला ऐसा, टू मेक द सोशल वर्ल्ड बेटर? ही सेड नो मोर मर्केंटलिज्म, लेट अस गो विद लाइजे फेयर फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी, जिसको वी टेक फॉर ग्रांटेड आजकल, बट सजेस्टेड बाय एडम स्मिथ फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम in order to make the social world work better. Laissez-faire. Thomas Hobbes and Locke, what did they propose? एक ही वर्ड चाहिए मुझे, ब्रह्मास्त्र। Hobbes and Locke. Consent to be governed. ऑनलाइन वाले क्या बोल रहे हैं, कुछ बोल रहे हैं कि सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? सीधी सी बात है, एक वर्ड जब लिख दोगे, एक ही वर्ड, यू डोंट नीड टू एक्सप्लेन टू एग्जामिनर, यू जस्ट हैव टू मेक फूल आउट ऑफ हिम। उसको बेवकूफ बनाना है, इंप्रेशन देना कि तुम्हें आता सब कुछ है, टाइम नहीं है एक्सप्लेन करने का, बहुत है क्योंकि जिंदगी में और भी काम। सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, रूसो, वन कीवर्ड, जनरल विल। व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ जनरल विल? डेमोक्रेसी। जनरल विल मीन्स विल ऑफ एवरीवन, मेजॉरिटी बेसिकली। वोल्टेयर, फ्री स्पीच। What does it mean? Enlightenment also gave us democracy covered by social contract and free speech. Secularism again covered by Voltaire, free speech only. Then secularism again comes under Voltaire, only free speech. And Adam Smith का जो idea है laissez-faire, what did it give us? It gave us free market economy, which is also part of Enlightenment period. Free market economy. Enlightenment was a period when people actually got enlightened. I'm not saying democracy got established in this period. Democracy तो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के बाद भी नहीं आई, उसके भी 60-70 साल बाद जाके, अभी तक नहीं आई है वैसे दुनिया में, ठीक है, वो तो चलता रहेगा। But these ideas definitely came for the first time. फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी, जिसको आगे जाके लोग कैपिटलिज्म बोलते थे। ओके, नाउ वी हैव कवर्ड 3 periods अंडर सोशल चेंज। ये सोशल चेंज ही हो रहा है यूरोप में, ये सोशल चेंज चल रहा है। What after enlightenment? And also one more thing, we should never forget her. Enlightenment also gave us gender equality. Who can tell me that name of one scholar? Because enlightenment gave us feminism also. Feminism enlightenment से आया है, ये पता ही नहीं है। पर मैरी वॉलस्टोनक्राफ्ट एंड ओलंपस डी गेज। बट हमें क्या याद रखना है? मैरी वॉलस्टोनक्राफ्ट याद रख लो, एक ही बहुत है क्योंकि वही सबसे बड़ी बंदी है। मैरी वॉलस्टोनक्राफ्ट। Mary Wollstonecraft has written one book, Vindication of the Rights of Women. This is considered as the first classic book on women's rights. Rousseau जो था, Rousseau, you know, we see Rousseau as very good man, very great man. Okay, but Rousseau actually said that education should be meant for everyone, including girls. But girls should be educated on how to be good housewife. एजुकेशन गर्ल्स की ये होनी चाहिए, हाउ टू बी गुड हाउसवाइफ, जिसको लाइफ साइंसेस बोलते हैं आज की डेट में, ठीक है। बट मैरी वॉलस्टोनक्राफ्ट सेड नो, both should be educated on similar lines and both should be inherent to property, both should be heir to property. दोनों के पास प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स भी होने चाहिए. देयर शुड बी नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन मैन एंड वुमेन एट ऑल, किसी भी लेवल पर. So she is the first one, which means feminism is also the gift of enlightenment period. Okay. Now we have three major periods that we have covered. After this, what happened? When so many changes are emerging, okay, and these things are happening in which period? This is pre 1300, so obviously this is 1300 onwards. So 1300 to 1700, 1600 ये चल रहा है. 1300 to 1600. Immediately after Enlightenment, when people started talking about, when these great scholars started talking about these great ideas, then suddenly French Revolution happened. But I'm not saying this is the only reason. French Revolution had multiple reasons, economic reason as well, political, but the intellectual ideas which fueled those events were given by these people. And when French Revolution happened, what happened? Simple सी बात है. Before French Revolution, we had this state system. First, second, third. Okay. These ideas were responsible for change in this structure. Okay. तो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन आया, जैसे ही फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का रिएक्शन हुआ इस पिरामिड के साथ, ट्रायंगल के साथ, ये ट्रायंगल टूट गया. ठीक है. डेमोक्रेसी, सेक्युलरिज्म, फ्री स्पीच, फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी, जेंडर इक्वालिटी, तोड़ दिया इसको. इन दिस स्टेट सिस्टम, at the third level, in the third state, we had masses, common people, who were taxed a lot. Most of the economy was running on the taxes that they paid, which means we did not have, during state system, we did not have proportionate system of taxation, which we take for granted today. Okay. Anyhow, but all these ideas disrupted the system. This system was established by religion, religious ideas, and of course, when these ideas challenged this structure, then the new era got developed, and an era where the old structures, in this structure, we have some ideas fixed or embedded. What are those ideas that are embedded in this structure? First idea that is embedded is patriarchy. Second, religious form of governance, which we call as theocracy. Theocracy, or we also call it as absolute monarchy. Okay, absolute monarchy. The third idea that is embedded is feudal economy, land-based economy. Okay. Now, when democracy attacked एब्सोल्यूट मोनार्की, एब्सोल्यूट मोनार्की हिल गई, हिल गया. Old structures started getting weakened. Okay. When free market economy attacked feudal economy started disrupting, it started, getting disrupted. When secularism attacked theocracy again, और impact पड़ा. Ultimately, what do we have to remember? That the old structure started feeling the crisis in it. Crisis. And when this structure started feeling crisis, then a set of new form of structure was coming out, emerging, which we call as social change, another form of social change. Okay, this was nothing but equilibrium condition. For many years, kings were ruling. For many years, patriarchy was a norm. For many years, religion had to be paid obedience, had to be given heed proper. So, for many years, feudal economy, that means land-based system was fixed. So, social equilibrium was maintained for a very long time. Suddenly, these ideas came and social equilibrium got disturbed. The idea of social equilibrium is important here. Okay, why? Now you will come to know why. After the structure was attacked, a response came from some people who did not like this change. For many years, kings have been ruling us. Suddenly, you are speaking against the king in the name of free speech and democracy. There would be people who would not like this. After French Revolution, we saw a period, a reign of terror. ठीक है, मर गए थे लोग की जान, किंग को भी लटका दिया था. Okay, king was also executed along with queen. There were some people who did not like this. What is happening? Chaos, chaotic condition everywhere. No more equilibrium. Where is that old order, peaceful order? And this was the period of rise of another period, counter enlightenment. Okay. So, after enlightenment, we saw French Revolution. After French Revolution, we saw counter enlightenment. Now, we'll talk about some two important names. Louis de Bonald and Joseph de Maistre. Louis de Bonald and Joseph de Maistre. This was the counter enlightenment period. What was their demand? क्या बोल रहे हैं? ये बोल रहे हैं, bring the patriarchy back, please. Please bring the patriarchy back. मैरी वॉस्टनक्राफ्ट ने सारा काम खराब कर दिया. Please bring the monarchy back. Please bring the feudal economy back. सब कुछ लेके आओ, सब कुछ, क्योंकि तुम्हारे बस का नहीं है. ये डेमोक्रेसी, ये सब पता नहीं क्या होता है. मुझे इतना पता है, लोग की जाने चली गई हैं. ये बोल रहे हैं. We just know that many people have lost their lives in the name of democracy. What kind of free speech, what kind of order you are going to make in the future? If this is the start of democracy, what is going to be the, evolution of democracy? So these people again proposed to bring the old order back. This was their demand. Demand was to bring the old order back. What does it mean? They wanted the same social equilibrium which was disrupted by democracy to be established once again. समझ गए? What does it mean? They are not liking enlightenment. They are not liking democracy, and therefore they were labeled as conservatives. Conservatives हैं. In academics, we call them conservative. And academics, as you know very well, is highly hegemonized by left-wing ideas. So to call them conservative, who would be calling them? Only left-wingers. Okay. But anyhow, so demand was to bring the old order back. And finally, what happened? Because of their demand, another idea came in, which we call as conservative. Conservatism. Conservatism. Okay. This conservatism has the most important ideas embedded in it. The ideas of structural functionalism. कंजर्वेटिविज्म से ही स्ट्रक्चरल फंक्शनलिज्म निकला है. Why? Louis de Bonald, Joseph de Maistre, they clearly said, king, rule of men, feudal government, theocracy, monarchy, whatever you call it, but these parts had actually maintained the system. And each of these parts were functional for the overall equilibrium. Now you have disrupted these parts. That is why chaos. And structural functionalists are highly conservative people. They would always talk about maintenance, maintenance, maintenance of system. ठीक है, ये वही लोग हैं कि आप कुछ चेंज करने की कोशिश करो, नहीं नहीं यार ये अभी नहीं, अभी ऐसे चलने दे. स्ट्रक्चरल फंक्शनलिस्ट, कंजर्वेटिव्स, ऐसे क्यों चलने दे यार, ऐसे ही ठीक है, इसमें बढ़िया रहता है ये सब. ठीक है, तो कंजर्वेटिविज्म came from counter enlightenment. Okay. So what did we learn? We learned one thing. This whole long chain was all about intellectual forces. Each of these was an intellectual force in itself. But now we will talk about material issue. Intellectual force is one thing, material issue is another thing. Don't think about industrial revolution अभी से. अभी तो एक चेन में चलना चाहिए पूरा, long series of events एक ही पैरेलल में पूरा. ठीक है. So what did we learn ultimately? What is the conclusion? Whatever we had made here, the long chart, that was all about intellectual forces. I'll again make that chart once I'm done with material issues also. What is the meaning of intellectual forces? It simply means forces which are responsible for change in thinking process. Started with Renaissance, change in thinking thought process. Man had become important. Man-centric world, humanism. Okay. From humanism to democracy, secularism, free speech, all those things. These were ideas which had started emerging. That is why this period is called as intellectual forces period. Okay. Now, let us discuss material issues. We have to categorize like this only, intellectual force and material issue. Okay. Material issue, in material issue we talk about industrial revolution. Industrial revolution. And since you guys know very well what is industrial revolution, I don't need to explain it. You just have to understand that before industrial revolution, we had feudal economy, land-based economy. After industrial revolution, we had market-based economy, free market economy. Okay. That does not mean that land as a form of economy had completely disappeared. But land had also become a marketable good. Land could be sold and bought. पहले ये सब नहीं होता था, आज की डेट में तो लैंड आप खरीद सकते हो. तो ये इसी से हुआ, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन का ही पार्ट है ये भी. ठीक है. पहले लैंड, यू कुड नॉट परचेज लैंड बिफोर इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन. लैंड वाज फिक्स्ड, allotted to kings and kshatriyas here, यहाँ पे, and even given to land grants in the form of land grants to Brahmins. Okay. So this was the period of industrial. What was the contribution of industrial revolution to our lives? First of all, most important contribution was mass consumption and mass production. I would not say mass consumption, but at least mass production तो definite है. Because mass consumption is then another post-Fordist idea. But mass production, the idea of mass production is coming from industrial revolution. Mass production was made possible only because of machine-led production. Okay, machine-led production system. Okay. So this is the major thing that you have to remember from industrial revolution. Mass production. Although there are many other things, but since I'll be discussing questions with you also from this area, you will automatically realize that we do not have space to write everything. Ultimately, we should remember only keywords and certain important events. Because we have to give an objective explanation, चाहे sociology जितना subjective हो. Our answer should be neat and clean. Okay. Now, ultimately, what did we learn? Middle age, and then intellectual forces. One, as we know, was Renaissance plus scientific revolution plus Enlightenment, which gave rise to French Revolution. French Revolution saw a reaction against it by counter-enlightenment. Counter-enlightenment later on was known as conservatism. Now here plus material issues. Yahan we will continue with material issues. Here, with the same ideas which were given to us from intellectual forces, that was rationality, scientific temper, and all those things, we started thinking for ourselves to make our lives better. Our lives, not thinking or not concerned about the lives of gods and kings. We wanted to make our lives better, our lives convenient. Okay. And we wanted to ensure everything that is available to kings is available to everyone. And for that, we have to have mass production and free market economy as well. So all those things, all those ideas actually took the shape of free market economy, industrial revolution, through industrial revolution. So material issue, industrial revolution. But industrial revolution also had major reactions against it. And industrial revolution had major reactions against it because of the unintended consequences. unintended consequences. For example, poverty. Industrial revolution has given us pollution also, very common thing. Okay, it has given us poverty also. How come it has given us poverty? Because it has divided the world into classes. People who can purchase, people who can own. This is what industrial revolution is. Class inequality, general squalor, urbanization, traffic issues. ये सारी चीजें कहाँ से आई? ये सब अर्बनाइजेशन इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन का ही दिया हुआ है, ठीक है. And we know very well that we have conservative reaction even against economic growth, है कि नहीं? But that is not just conservative, that is highly radical, because those people who react against rising class inequality, these are those people who do not want society to go back to the old order, feudal. They actually are proposing new order. That is why they are called as radical. And the idea which they have in their mind, they believe they would establish it by violent means, revolution. So industrial revolution had one reaction which was highly radical. French Revolution had conservative reaction. Industrial Revolution had radical reaction. But remember, Marx has also reacted against French Revolution. But just to make things easy and neat and clean, I am breaking down like this. Okay. Through radical reaction, we get Marxism. Through conservatism, we get structural functionalism. And when both structural functionalism and Marxism are combined, they give us sociology. Sociology emerged with these changes only. But these changes were looked at through by different perspectives. Some appreciated these changes, some denounced these changes, some proposed a new order. And when you have so many perspectives on one event only, then welcome to sociology. Sociology यही है. Now see, I am going to tell you one trick. First of all, if we simply look into this long chart that you have in your copies now, and to summarize that chart once again for the final time, Middle Age, and then Renaissance, Scientific Revolution, Enlightenment, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, Counter-Enlightenment, which we call as conservatism or structural functionalism, and then radical Marxism. This is what we have learned. And sociology. Now see the questions. Now see all the questions. Last year question. How did intellectual force lead to the emergence of sociology? This is last year question. How did the intellectual force lead to emergence? You cannot explain this if you do not have this mental chart in your head. Because the emergence of sociology is coming from the reactions against these intellectual forces. These reactions combined together led to formation of a discipline called as sociology. So we have to have this chart in our head. And these were intellectual force only. ये intellectual force है, ये है, ये है. Intellectual force का मतलब क्या है? जो भी changes लेके आ रहा है ideas के level पर. और ये है. You don't have to talk about industrial revolution here. You don't have to talk about. Even if you are doing, there is no harm in it, but I don't want you to give explanation to this thing. That is not even required. नाम डालने तो ठीक है. Okay. Now, more questions again from this area, but also remember one more thing. Other than this chart that I have told you about, there are two more things that I need to discuss. The emergence of sociology cannot be reduced only to these perspectives, conservatism and Marxism. Okay. Basically, Marxism, if you see, is a conflict theory. It is talking about creation of classes, and to have new society, there has to be conflict between these two, because this is how the world has shaped itself so far, through conflict between classes. A new mode of production has developed. So the next mode of production, जहाँ पे classless world होएगा, egalitarian, वो भी तभी आएगा जब ये वर्कर्स जो है इंडस्ट्री के, ये बुर्जुआ के अगेंस्ट रेवोल्यूशन लाएंगे. So Marxism has given us conflict theory. Conflict theory. And functionalism is all about integration. One is conflict, one is integration. Feminism is which theory? Integration theory or conflict theory? It is conflict theory. And feminism is also an intellectual force. Feminism is also an intellectual force जो कि आप यहाँ डालोगे enlightenment के अंदर. ठीक है? Feminism को इग्नोर मत करना, बस मैं ही कह रहा हूँ. Now the second thing that I wanted to discuss was, before sociology as a discipline got emerged in universities, there were three more disciplines which were already discussing the evolution of society. Okay, which we call as precursors. According to T.B. Bottomore, they are precursors. Precursors मतलब कि sociology से पहले के कुछ ऐसे से ही discipline which can be called as, you know, the infant stage of sociology. How sociology could have been if sociology was in those times. So one discipline was philosophy of history. Philosophy of history, which we call as precursors. Philosophy of history. Second was biological theory of evolution. The biological theory of evolution. How is it relevant to us? Structural functionalism is nothing product of biological theory of evolution only. In structural functionalism, what do? We compare society with human body, which we call as organic analogy. This is analogy that is drawn between society and body. Okay. And who was the first person to discuss organic analogy? Bert Spencer. That means biological theory of evolution का रोल है कि नहीं सोशियोलॉजी के डेवलपमेंट में, क्योंकि स्ट्रक्चरल फंक्शनिज्म वहीं से है. बात खत्म. फिलॉसफी ऑफ हिस्ट्री का रोल क्या है? Every every history has its own philosophy, and this period was nothing but historical change, a change that has changed the world altogether, not just European. ये सब यूरोप में नहीं हुआ, सिर्फ पूरे वर्ल्ड में हुआ है. आज we also in our constitution discuss liberty, equality, fraternity, जो आए उधर है. Every history has its own philosophy. That means every history is contextualized in a specific social setting. From simple to complex stage, how world has evolved itself. To understand that, we have to understand the philosophy behind that historical change. And what was the philosophy? Philosophy was all about humanism, man-centric world. This was the philosophy of the history, which has changed the history. Okay. Third, surveys. How surveys has led to the rise of sociology, or how survey can be called as precursor to sociology. Every sociologist today at least, in order to collect data, has to conduct survey. I'm not saying survey is the mandatory thing. It is also one of the technique to collect data, but data collection के लिए तो चाहिए ना. When you go to watch a movie, you come out of movie, you see a person standing with mic waiting for you, and then कैसी लगी movie सर आप? ठीक थी. ठीक थी. कितने स्टार दोगे? 1 2 3 4 3.5 दे देंगे. डेटा ले लिया उसने, हो गया सर्वे. ठीक है. अब ये डेटा कलेक्ट कर करके ही तरखाई ने बता दिया सुसाइड का क्या होएगा. पुलिस स्टेशन से इकट्ठा किया उसने डेटा. सर्वे ही तो कर रहे हैं वो. सर्वे का मतलब ये नहीं कि पैम्फलेट बांट दिए रोड पे, कि वो नहीं होता. सर्वे मतलब बस एक टेक्निक है डेटा कलेक्शन का. ठीक है. तो दिस इज हाउ दे आर प्रीकर्सर. अब हमारे सामने सब कुछ है. अब बात करते हैं क्वेश्चंस की. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज 2020 we have discussed 2019. Discuss the historical antecedents of emergence of sociology as discipline. Now remember, we take many things for granted in this world. Historical antecedents, what is the meaning? Every word has its specific meaning. Historical antecedents, which means no. यही तो प्रॉब्लम है. Historical antecedents, ये सब ये हुआ. कई लोगों ने ये कर दिया पिछले साल से पिछले साल. मार्क्स नहीं है. वो पूछ ये रहा है. ये पता है, ये सिर्फ हमें पता है, ये एग्जामिनर्स को नहीं पता. एग्जामिनर्स ने आज तक इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछा ही नहीं है. ये सिर्फ हमें पता है. ठीक है. एग्जामिनर को तो ये पता है. हिस्टोरिकल एंटीसीडेंट मतलब एवरी इंपॉर्टेंट हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट. सवाल वही पूछ रहा है, इंटेलेक्चुअल फोर्स आगे कर दिया उसने नेक्स्ट ईयर. ओके. नाउ नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन related to this topic only. How sociology has emerged as a distinct discipline based on rationality and scientific temper. How sociology emerged as a distinct discipline based on rationality and scientific temper. We know that we are highly indebted to which period? Scientific revolution and enlightenment for rationality and scientific temper. What does it mean? Our focus should be this in this question. उससे पहले क्वेश्चन में हमारा फोकस ये था पूरा. अभी साइंटिफिक रैशनैलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं, तो आवर फोकस शुड बी इनफैक्ट दिस. इसको भी हटा सकते हो, आईआर को भी. जस्ट फोकस ऑन दिस, दीज थ्री, एंड देन डिस्कस दिस, and then you may even introduce industrial revolution. But mainly, again, it is nothing intellectual force only that he is wanting us to answer. Okay. But remember, each and every keyword is important in the question. So our job is to define those. I defined intellectual force also. So in this question, we should define rationality and scientific temper. What is the meaning of rationality and scientific temper? Rationality and scientific temper is nothing but change in a mode of thought. A mode of thought which is now run by factual, objective, and empirical analysis. Factual, objective, empirical analysis is what rationality and scientific temper is all about. Okay, because these are those ideas which has given rise to science, a concept of science, which we will be discussing in unit 2 also. Okay, so this was all about how had enlightenment contributed to emergence of sociology, focusing only on this, because within enlightenment we also have Adam Smith, so we can talk about IR also. खत्म. We don't need to discuss scientific revolution, ये सब नहीं करना, मुद्दे की बात. Okay, fine. Now, whatever changes we saw ultimately resulted into the advent of modernity. Before this, we had Middle Ages, and with these changes, modernity we started witnessing. Modernity is all about democracy, free speech, individual rights, nuclear family is also part of modernity. Citizenship, that we all of us are equal citizens. All these are part of modernity only. Okay. Now, the next topic is scope of the subject. And its comparison with other social sciences. Scope of the subject and its comparison with other social sciences. What is this topic all about? Scope of this. Sociology तो आ गया इस दुनिया में अब. उतने सारे changes के बाद sociology has finally come into existence. Question is, what is this subject going to study? What is the subject matter? ये आ तो गया है, इसमें पढ़ेंगे क्या? और इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन कितना ही पढ़ लेंगे, ठीक है? But the idea was not about the content per se. The idea was about theme of the content, which means we had two kind of people here discussing scope of the subject. Scope means subject matter. We had two kind of people. One strand we call as formalist. Second strand we call as synthetic. Okay. Formalist clearly said. And by the way, let me also tell you that formalists are mainly German. Mainly German, most of them. Synthetic are French, largely. Which means sociology emerged in Europe, but within Europe we also saw emergence of sociologists who did not agree with each other on many aspects. Okay. And this led to division between German sociology and French sociology initially. Now, formalist has 3-4 important scholars. One is von Weiss, Pierre Kant, Ferdinand Tönnies, George Simmel, Max Weber. Max Weber. Overall, if you see, what is one thing common across all of them? इनके नाम भले अलग हो, इनके काम एक ही हैं पर. The one thing which unites them is that all of them are working on micro interactive level. They are largely studying human interaction at micro level. Human interaction, for example, Max Weber. He says the subject matter of sociology should be social action. Social action. Social action means any action which is meaningful has to be understood, interpreted by putting yourself into the shoes of that person. Only then you can figure out what is the meaning of that action. हम ये करते हैं everyday life में, हम करते हैं. Every time we keep ourselves into the shoes of other person and think इसने क्यों किया होगा ये. Okay. मैक्स वेबर सोशल एक्शन बोल रहा है, स्टडी करो. जॉर्ज जिमल. George Simmel is talking about forms of human relationship. Again, human relationship और interaction की बात चल रही. Forms of human relationship. Forms क्या होते हैं human relationship? Whether you go to Labasna, whether you go to Delhi University, whether you go to कहीं पे भी. Okay. You would find people either fighting with each other or integrating very well with each other. यही होता है हर जगह. झगड़े कहाँ नहीं होते. That means conflict हर जगह होएगा और integration भी रहेगा हर जगह. बात खत्म. And this is one form of relationship. Conflict has its opposite, integration. This makes one form. Conflict versus integration. Okay. Second, you go anywhere, you will see some senior or some junior. हर जगह यही है. जहां भी जाओगे सीनियर मिल जाएंगे. 4th ईयर के हो गए तो भी तुम्हारा सीनियर है कॉलेज में कोई ना कोई. जो पास आउट हो गए, जिनके जॉब्स लगी, वो अब तुम्हारे सीनियर. वहां जाओगे, उधर तुम्हारे सीनियर. तो superordination and subordination, another form of relationship. These are the things that Simmel has discussed. Okay. Ferdinand Tönnies has discussed again form of relationship only. He says, there is a thing called as human intimacy. Intimacy. ये इसमें change आ गया है. Before industrial revolution, we used to live in community, face-to-face relationship. Today, there is no face-to-face relationship. From community, we have gone to the era of association. Self-interested individuals have clubbed together to form a community. This is not a community. This is association of self-interested people, individual people. But there, before rise of individualism, we had community. Okay. So this is what Tönnies is talking about. So these are the things that formalists discussed, largely micro level sociology. Micro sociology. Synthetic scholar, on the other hand, discussed macro sociology. They said the Scope of sociology should not be to study micro human interactions, to study social action or to study forms of relationship in organizations. ये सब हम क्यों स्टडी करें? इसमें तो रखा ही कुछ भी नहीं है. Anybody can do these things. Why do we need to develop a discipline for these things? So synthetic scholars are those people who are highly ambitious. They believe sociology can study everything that any other discipline has been trying to do so but has not been able to do so. हम वो हर चीज पढ़ सकते हैं. We can study economics also. We can study political science also. Okay. We deal with philosophy also. We deal with history also. कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं जो हम छोड़ देते हैं. This is what synthetic scholar is saying. So synthetic scholars, as I told you, were largely French. Auguste Comte and Durkheim. These are the important names that you should definitely mention. Important names. ऐसे नाम तो बहुत हैं और भी ज़्यादा. कार्ल मेनहाइम भी आता है, मॉरिस गिन्सबर्ग भी आता है, सोरोकिन भी आता है, but those are not important. वो तुमको पता है, एग्जामिनर को नहीं. एग्जामिनर को वो चाहिए जो मिनिमम होना चाहिए, which is Comte and Durkheim. Durkheim बोलता है sociology would have three branches of sociology. First, general sociology. General sociology. General sociology means sociology that deals with development of theories. Development of theories. Okay. Theoretical sociology that we call. Development of theory with respect to any aspect of society. Okay. Second is social physiology. Social physiology. What is the meaning of physiology? बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर वैसा सोसाइटी का स्ट्रक्चर होता है. फिजियोलॉजी मीन्स द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ बॉडी एंड स्टडी ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ बॉडी और द ऑर्गन्स ऑफ बॉडी, व्हाटएवर इट मे बी. Similarly, social physiology means to treat society like a body and to treat and to study those organs that make up the society and also to study the function of those organs, structural function. Okay, which means we will study every organ. ये वो बोल रहा है सब्जेक्ट मैटर में. We will study economy, we will study polity, we will study law, सब कुछ पढ़ेंगे. और डरखाई ने सब कुछ पढ़ा भी है, लॉ भी बात करी, रिलीजन के भी बोला है, इकोनॉमी में भी बोला है, कोई चीज छोड़ी नहीं उसने. And thirdly, demography. Okay, population studies, urban studies, sex ratio, इन सब को भी हम डील करेंगे. So these are the things that Durkheim is trying to tell us. Auguste Comte, we will study social statics and social dynamics. I am just telling you keywords, क्योंकि keywords से ही मार्क्स आएंगे और कुछ नहीं. Social statics and social dynamics. Social statics, just like a scientist studies static and dynamics. Static dynamic means changes, any sort of changes, how it was, what is happening to it, what will happen to it, what it will become. Static and dynamic. Social statics, the society that we had before French Revolution, was part of social static studies. The kind of changes introduced by the Enlightenment ideas into the French society become part of social dynamics, because those things actually introduced changes in the so-called equilibrium that had maintained society for a very long period, which amounted to be called as part of social static studies. So ultimately, whatever changes we studied was nothing It actually reflected the study of statics and dynamics only. Okay. This is what we are going to study according to Auguste Comte. And Auguste Comte believed that if we study statics and dynamics carefully, we can find pattern. ये होता भी है. आप जब क्रिकेट मैच भी देखते हो ना, आपको पता चल जाता है कि अब क्या होएगा. आइडिया लग जाता है, आपको पैटर्न दिख जाता है कि अब कहाँ जा रहा है गेम. ठीक है. तो कुछ ये लोग भी करते हैं. They start talking about pattern of society. And from the idea of pattern, Auguste Comte developed his idea of law of three stage. Okay. Law of three stages. First was theological stage. Second, metaphysical. Third, scientific, which he called as positivist. Positivist stage or positivist society. These are the three laws. Earlier we were governed by kings in the name of gods. So we used to explain everything in religious fashion. Even the nature of universe was explained in religious fashion. The birth of human being was also explained in religious fashion. Everything was explained religiously. बारिश क्यों नहीं हो रही? भगवान के ऊपर डाल दिया. बाढ़ आ गई, भगवान पर डाल दिया. देवी आ गई. ठीक है. कोरोना को भी देवी बना दिया है. कोरोना देवी का टेम्पल भी है इंडिया में. ठीक है. अभी तक हम उसी स्टेज में हैं. मेटाफिजिकल का मतलब है एब्स्ट्रैक्ट स्टेज, वेयर यू डू नॉट हैव कॉन्क्रीट लॉज, बट यू हैव वन थिंग, challenge to theological order. You do not have the new order completely established, but you have change in your mind which are not so concrete. So democracy was an idea. It was not a concrete idea, it was an idea. Metaphysical stage. Okay. The idea of citizenship, the idea of rights, फंडामेंटल राइट्स जिसको हम बोलते हैं, ये सब अब जाके थोड़ा कॉन्क्रीट हो रहे हैं. अभी भी राइट टू प्राइवेसी तो अभी थोड़े 2 साल की पहले बात है जो मिला है. अभी तक कॉन्क्रीट होते जा रहे हैं. अभी तक मेटाफिजिकल में ही है हम. साइंटिफिक मीन्स पॉजिटिविस्ट, where you would be explaining everything in completely scientific fashion, highly objective fashion with full reasoning, facts, objectivity, rationality, nothing else, no religious, no metaphysical explanation, concrete. What Auguste Comte meant by this? He simply meant that, for example, अगर आज कोरोना है, तो कोरोना के टाइम पे everybody, if everyone is giving scientific explanation to coronavirus, then only we are living in positivist society. But this does not happen now. In America, everyone gave scientific explanation to coronavirus. But in India, we called it Chinese virus, Tablighi virus. ये दिक्कत. Scientific explanation. We communalized the virus also. Okay, this was called as racialization of virus. Okay. तो ये जब आएगा तब ऑर्डर आएगा इस दुनिया में. जो डिसरप्शन, whatever disruption was witnessed during the period of changes, those disruptions would be over and a new social static would be established with complete social equilibrium only when the mode of thinking is completely transformed from religious to scientific. तभी जाके, अब अगर जब तक हम रिलीजियस बातों पे ही लड़ेंगे तो फिर तो कम्युनल राइट्स ही रहेंगे. यू वुड नॉट सी ऑर्डर, यू वुड ओनली सी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. समझ गए? सो ये बात है जो ऑगस्ट कॉम्ट कह रहा है. August Comte, the ambition of August Comte was to give laws and also to predict when the disruption would be over and when a new order would come. This is the thing that August Comte had in his mind. This is why he is also called as positivist. One of the feature of positivism is prediction, not just pattern, the study of pattern or static dynamics. Okay, not just positivism is not just about, although this is something that I'll be discussing in unit 2. Generally, what we think of positivism, we think of positivism like this: application of natural sciences principles into the study of social world. ये ऐसे रटी हुई है, हमें पता नहीं है, अंदर से भी मालूम है, ठीक है। एक पॉजिटिविस्ट आदमी कौन होता है? अ मीटियोरोलॉजिस्ट विल टेल अस टुमारो यू विल सी रेन, कल बारिश आएगी, और वो बताएगा इस टाइम आएगी 10 बजे। नहीं आती 10 बजे, 10:30 हो जाता है, कोई बात नहीं, पर आ जाती है, कभी कभी नहीं भी आती, बट ही इज प्रिडिक्टिंग, meteorologist is predicting when it will rain. Similarly, positivist sociologist is someone who predicts when poverty will be over. Karl Marx was positivist scholar for the same reason, because he predicted communism will come. And class conflict, due to class conflict only, a new mode of production will come into existence. This is inevitable. वो लिखता है ऐसे, inevitable. Predict कर रहा है वो, इसलिए वो पॉजिटिविस्ट है। करखाई ने भी प्रिडिक्शन दी थी, अभी नहीं बताऊंगा पर आगे। तो दिस वाज सिंथेटिक एंड फॉर्मलिस्ट डिस्टिंक्शन, ओके। बट हमको ना ये मेनली अभी समझो कि हमें क्या याद रखना है, हमें बस कॉन्क्रीट कीवर्ड याद रखने हैं। इट्स नॉट अबाउट स्कॉलर्स के नाम। जनरल परसेप्शन क्या होता है, मैक्सिमम स्कॉलर्स के नाम लिख दो, ऐसे नहीं होता। इज्जत दो क्वेश्चंस को और एग्जामिनर को, ठीक है। उसको चाहिए कॉन्क्रीट कंट्रीब्यूशन। Scope of the subject में I have discussed these 2 points. Now remember, ultimately, today if someone asks me what is the scope of subject, so what can I say? We know very well that formalist and synthetic, if we look into, formalist only talked about micro sociology, synthetic talked about macro. Macro study means to treat individuals simply as an atom which is governed by structures. See, if Karl Marx is telling us, tomorrow you will see communism, चाहे तुम कुछ कर लो, यानी हमारे बस में कुछ है इस दुनिया में? इंडिविजुअल की कोई भी अहमियत है ही नहीं। Social structures govern themselves, they run themselves, and then individuals simply fit into them. So positivists always treat individuals as atoms which are governed by structures, larger social structures. फैमिली में हमारी कितनी ही सही रहती है, जब मम्मी पापा बोलते हैं हाँ ठीक है, ठीक है। तो मैक्रो सोशियोलॉजी ट्रीट individuals are seen as puppets or atoms governed by structures. Microsociology gives importance to individuals. Max Weber says, study social action, which means study the meaning of individuals. Do not treat them as idiot or stupids or puppets or atoms. उल्टा ही हो रहा है यहाँ पर। Individuals are given importance. अच्छा, tell me one thing. Max Weber is giving importance to individuals. Is he negating structures? Obviously no. He is giving importance to structures, but he is not negating. Okay, so he is giving importance to individuals, but he is not negating structures. Clearly वो बोलता है, वो तो खुद ही बोल रहा है वो कि इन सोशल एक्शंस को पढ़ के ही हमें समझ आएगा कैपिटलिज्म कैसे डेवलप हुआ, रैशनल, और ब्यूरोक्रेसी कैसे आई. दैट मीन्स ही इज स्टडीइंग इंडिविजुअल एक्शन. इंडिविजुअल एक्शन इज द सब्जेक्ट मैटर, डेफिनेटली उसमें कोई शक है नहीं. जिसको वो सोशल एक्शन बोल रहे हैं, इसको स्टडी करके हमें पता चलेगा कि ब्यूरोक्रेसी and rational capitalism, how these developed. In order to understand this only, Max Weber studied social action. So what was actually the interest of Max Weber? Study of structures. But to understand study of structures very well, you would have to understand the people who are constructing those structures. So therefore Max Weber gave importance to micro, but he is not only a micro sociologist. Max Weber is the only person, in fact, one of the first person, I would say, the first person, I would say, to bridge the gap between macro and micro. So, initial sociology, as we know, was divided into micro and macro, but Max Weber brought them close to each other with his study of social action, because the subject matter of sociology is not only the study of social action, according to Max Weber. Rather, the subject matter of sociology, according to Max Weber, is the study of social action, its causes and its consequence. And the consequence of social action is nothing but social structures. ये complete sentence है. Sentence ये नहीं है subject matter is social action. So sentence है social action, its causes and its consequences, which covers structures also. तो मैक्स वेबर ने दोनों को ब्रिज किया. आज की डेट में मेरे से कोई पूछे, द क्वेश्चन दैट आई वाज एक्चुअली वांटिंग टू डिस्कस विद यू, someone today asked me what is the scope of subject. Should I tell him on these lines, formally synthetic? No. ये तो तब था ना जब पैदा हो रहा था सोशियोलॉजी, पैदा तो एस्टैब्लिश है. अब मैं ये थोड़ा ना बोलूंगा फॉर्मुला सिंथेटिक. What should I say now? Today I would be talking about the things that sociology is studying, the subject matter today. What are the new things which have been added into the courses of sociology, the course of sociology across disciplines now? Today there is sociology of sports also. उस time there was no sports sociology. आज हम स्पोर्ट्स को भी पढ़ते हैं. बताओ, पॉलिटिकल साइंस वाले पढ़ सकते हैं स्पोर्ट्स को? उनका कोई रोल ही नहीं है स्पोर्ट्स में. क्या लेना देना कुछ भी. इकोनॉमिक्स वाले क्या स्पोर्ट्स को पढ़ेंगे? हम देखो सब कुछ करते हैं, स्पोर्ट्स भी पढ़ रहे हैं. We study, we have a discipline, a branch in sociology called as medical sociology. Medical sociology. Medical sociology. We have a branch in this sociology today called as digital sociology. Digital. What is this digital sociology all about? Digital social, as we know, sociology was study of urbanization, urbanism, and all the processes associated with the modernity. Today, if you look into modernity, is not just modernity. Today we are living in a phase called as, नहीं वो तो है, वो तो theoretical है. Postmodern is different thing. Today we are living in an information age. Information. Today goods are not manufactured. Services are provided. We are living more in a service age, information age. We consume information, we sell information. अभी क्या मैं आपको कोई गुड्स दे रहा हूं? कुछ भी नहीं. इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सचेंज. हम उस एज में रहते हैं. When you ride in an Uber, Is that Uber driver giving you anything? Are you giving him anything? पैसा ही दे रहे हो, वो तुम्हें सर्विस दे रहे हैं. You are giving him cash for service. Information age, service age. Uber, Amazon, Swiggy, ये सब जितने भी हैं, these are not producing goods. They are only providing you services. Amazon is not producer of goods, providing you services only. And in this era, we need a different level of sociology, digital sociology, because this era has created new classes. There is a class we call as precariat class. Precariat. The Uber drivers, Swiggy drivers, Zomato people, these are precariat class which are not socially secured. ये लोग अपना रोज आते हैं, बोलते हैं खाना देते ही सर 5 स्टार दे देना, क्योंकि इनकी जिंदगी 5 स्टार पे अटकी है. इनको वो स्टार नहीं मिला तो लाइफ खत्म, जिसको हम फॉर ग्रांटेड स्टार तो क्या ही है, बट उनकी टिकी है उसके ऊपर लाइफ. ऊबर ड्राइवर्स की भी 5 स्टार दे देना, ठीक है. सोशल जब सिक्योर नहीं होगे तो स्टार ही मांगोगे. दिस इज प्रिकैरिएट क्लास विच इज नॉट सोशली सिक्योर्ड. सो डिजिटल सोशियोलॉजी इज स्टडीइंग डेटा कैपिटलिज्म, साइबर कैपिटलिज्म, न्यू वर्ल्ड कैपिटलिज्म and new world classes. Okay, the scope of sociology is changing with the changing times. Sociology emerged with the changes in Europe, and sociology is evolving with the changes in society. Therefore, scope is ever growing. बात खत्म. ग्लोबलाइजेशन के बाद से कितना स्कोप और बढ़ गया है सोशियोलॉजी में, देखो. When sociology emerged, in those times we did not talk, we never used to talk about globalization in that, to that extent or to that degree to which we talk about it today. Globalization has been there since forever. ऐसा नहीं ग्लोबलाइजेशन अभी आया है. पाजियान हुआनसांग जब आए थे इंडिया में, वो भी ग्लोबलाइजेशन का ही रहा है, बट वो डिग्री जो है वो कम है. कुछ ही लोग आ जा पा रहे हैं यहाँ वहाँ. आज की डेट में सब लोग आ जा सकते हैं कहीं पे भी. वो तब भी था ग्लोबलाइजेशन, आज भी है. बट with this globalization, sociology has also become globalized, and therefore in sociology we also discuss transnational relations. The idea of dependency theory is nothing what is bourgeois to proletariat, that is what core is to periphery. Immanuel Wallerstein. Okay, तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन से सोशियोलॉजी भी ग्लोबलाइज्ड हुई. ओके, इंस्टेड ऑफ क्लासेस वी टॉक अबाउट नेशन स्टेट्स नाउ. वी टुडे टॉक आल्सो अबाउट स्टेट वर्सेस क्लासेस, फेसबुक वर्सेस ऑस्ट्रेलिया. ओके, तो स्कोप्स ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी तो एवर चेंजिंग है. जैसे से सोसाइटी में चेंज आएंगे वैसे सोशियोलॉजी भी वैसे चेंज होता जाएगा. सिंपल सी बात है. Okay, so what I'll do is, tomorrow we'll begin with this comparison. Sociology and common sense will hardly take us 10 minutes, and then I'll be discussing a lot on sociology and science, because many people, I think, are not very comfortable with sociology and science. Many people do not know, despite reading positivism, do not know what is positivism. Many people do not know the meaning, real meaning of science. Okay, they still equate science with natural science. Okay, so we'll discuss those things tomorrow. If you have any sort of doubt, you may ask me. What is the meaning of antecedents? Literal meaning. हिस्टोरिकली उससे पहले क्या एग्जिस्ट करता था सोशियोलॉजी से पहले? ये सारे इवेंट्स, हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट्स. Obviously they do, but ultimately sociology का existence वहां से है, उन historical events से. उनको आप ज्यादा डिस्कस मत करना, philosophy of history उन सबको. They are precursors to sociology, can be regarded as historical antecedents, but they are not as important as those events, because those are the major events which actually shaped or led to emergence of sociology. And these historical precursors, I would say, these historical precursors only gave sociology some techniques of data collection which was given to sociology by social survey, study of social survey. Philosophy of history and biological theory of evolution gave a framework, organic analogy, and to equate society with body. But largely, the soul and spirit of sociology can be traced to those events. The idea of rationality, scientific temper, to question the change, to think about new change. These are what the largely historical antecedents amounts to be called as. Yes, yes. Modernity. See, modernity, as we know, is the product of social changes in Europe. Okay. And therefore, modernity can be characterized as change in intellectual, institutional, and technological level. Since we know that we have read Industrial Revolution, French Revolution. French Revolution largely dealt with changes in intellectual and institutional level. Industrial Revolution largely dealt with changes in technological level. And both of them led to emergence of modernity. So therefore, modernity is characterized by changes in intellectual, institutional, and technological level. And when you talk about these intellectual, institutional, and technological level changes, we may discuss everything under the sun that we today consider as part of modernity. For example, the idea of meritocracy. We take this thing for granted. Okay, merit. You guys are writing UPSC, you will become bureaucrat only through this examination. But during the times of Maurya, we did not have UPSC examination, but we had bureaucrats. But that was not modern. This is modern, because that is not meritocracy. That was completely patronage system, which Weber calls as, if someone can tell me, patrimonialism. That was patrimonialism. Okay. So meritocracy is an idea given to us by modernity. Second, democracy. Third, liberty, equality, fraternity, free speech, citizenship, gender equality. The idea of nation state is also given to us by modernity. Before these changes, we did not have nation states. What did we have? We had civilizations. The idea of nation state, sovereignty, state having its own territory and which is sovereign, independent, autonomous, has its own constitutional provision or rules or regulations. This is a modern idea. A modern idea that even many people who today we call as conservative are fighting for. Many fundamentalists are fighting for an independent nation state. An idea given to us by modernity, but fought against by the conservatives today, fundamentalist forces. They are fighting for these things. They are against modernity, but they are fighting for modern ideas. nation state. ये contradiction है. They are using weapons which is given to them by technological changes in modernity, and they are against modernity. They are using modern weapons, have modern vision, but they are against modernity. A contradiction and biggest paradox in fundamentalism today. But anyhow, so this is what modernity is all about. Okay. And of course, very important stuff, that is individualism, I would say. You may even discuss nuclear family. Okay, but remember, sociology emerged with the emergence of modernity. And with the emergence of sociology, we saw, with modernity, we saw sociology, which has structural functionalism and Marxism. And of course, if structural functionalism and Marxism have emerged with modernity, they will collapse also with modernity only. समझे कि नहीं समझे? If they have emerged with modernity, they will collapse also with modernity only. And this is the question that UPSC asked. And when you talk about collapse of modernity, you talk about the postmodern era, the rise of postmodernism. Okay, which we will discuss later on. अभी के लिए इतना ही. तो चलें फिर खत्म करते हैं. One previous question about scope of sociology, that is very straightforward. Scope of sociology is very straightforward. उसमें ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन घुमा के पूछते भी नहीं है ये लोग. कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्या क्वेश्चन है? सी in the context of globalization, has the scope of sociology been changing in India? देखो, as I told you, with globalization, we saw multiple changes at different levels. And the idea of colonialism is an unanticipated consequence of globalization. And the rise of democracy in India is an unanticipated consequence of colonialism. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन से हुआ कुछ भी नहीं है. ग्लोबलाइजेशन से सीधी सी बात, अगर इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मुझे लाना हो, आई वुड टॉक अबाउट colonialism. And the unanticipated consequence of colonialism in India was nationalism. किसने बोला ये? Who said nationalism in India is the unanticipated consequence of colonialism? सोशियोलॉजी में बताऊं मुझे किसने बोला? ऐसे तो बहुत लोगों ने बोला होगा. AR देसाई. AR देसाई. ओके, बट ये तो हो गया हिस्टोरिकल. ओके, अब बात करेंगे कुछ कंटेम्पररी. आज की डेट में we talk about in India things like live-in relationship. करते हैं. क्वेश्चन आया है, यूपीएससी ने पूछा भी है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोल भी दिया है कि कोई दिक्कत नहीं. We are also talking about a new thing called as living apart together. ये अब एक और नया आ गया. एक एक यूनिट उठाओ और एक एक यूनिट में देखो ग्लोबलाइजेशन ने क्या चेंज किया है. फैमिली को पहले उठा दिया मैंने, क्योंकि living apart together. What is living apart together? We are together but we live apart. सेपरेटली रहते हैं हम साथ ही रहते हैं अलग अलग, क्योंकि अपना अपने जॉब्स हैं अलग अलग जगह. दिस इज लिविंग अपार्ट टुगेदर एंड दिस हैज बिकम न्यू नॉर्मल। ये नॉर्मल हो चुका है, इसके अगेंस्ट होती थे पहले लोग, बस अलग रहोगे तो फैमिली किस बात की, बट अब वो फैमिली का ही पार्ट बन के अलग रहना। तो फैमिली स्ट्रक्चर में ग्लोबलाइजेशन ये चेंज लेके आया, इसलिए सोशियोलॉजी में वी स्टडी इन इंडिया rise of live-in relationship. Okay, you know very well that IP Desai has talked about a concept called as jointness. Live-in talks about nuclearization. Okay, but वो डायनामिज्म पे हम आगे जाएंगे जब फैमिली किंशनशिप की बात करेंगे, लेकिन अभी इफ आई टॉक अबाउट नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, फॉर एग्जांपल वर्क एंड इकोनॉमी की बात कर लेते हैं। वर्क एंड इकोनॉमी में ग्लोबलाइजेशन से इंडिया में क्या चेंज आया? वी सॉ राइज ऑफ प्लेटफॉर्म इकोनॉमी, उबर, स्विगी, अमेजोन, इधर भी आया। एक एक चैप्टर उठा लो। विथ प्लेटफॉर्म इकोनॉमी वी सॉ राइज ऑफ न्यू क्लासेस, देयर इज वन क्लास कॉल्ड एज साइबरटेरिएट। साइबरटेरिएट कौन होता है? जब आप YouTube पे वीडियोस देखते हो, when you watch videos on YouTube, when you update your status on Facebook or on WhatsApp, you think you are having entertainment, but actually you are giving data to those companies in the name of your own entertainment. When you are watching Netflix, you are giving Netflix your data, that what are your likes and dislikes, and then Netflix next day will tell you ये देखना पसंद करोगे, कुछ वैसा सही है जैसा कल देखा था, ठीक है? So what is happening? Cybertariat is that class which is doing work in the name of leisure. They think they are having leisure, मतलब entertainment, but they are actually working for the company without wage. तुम देख रहे हो सीजन, तुम्हें पैसा नहीं मिल रहा, जबकि तुम डेटा ही दे रहे हो उनका अपना, और डेटा आज की डेट में पैसा मिलता है डेटा में, ठीक है? तो बट ये हम नहीं सोच पाते हैं, वो आगे हम सोचेंगे कभी। प्लेटफॉर्म इकोनॉमी आया, और देखो कौन से यूनिट्स हैं हमारे सिलेबस में। रिलीजन में क्या चेंज आया? टुडे वी टॉक अबाउट डिजिटल रिलीजन। When we saw corona induced lockdown, what happened? डिजिटल आरतीज आ गई, खत्म बात। डिजिटल आरती। There is one scholar, Grace Davy. Grace Davy, there is one postmodern scholar on religion studies. Grace Davy says he has given a concept, believing without belonging. I may not belong to that place, but I still believe. ऐसा थोड़ा ना कि भगवान में अपनी आस्था दिखाने के लिए मंदिर जाना ही पड़ेगा, डिजिटल आरती कर लो। Believing without belonging, because it is not compulsory that even those who are going to temple are really religious. मैं कई बार गया हूँ मंदिर, गुरुद्वारे, वो कड़ा प्रसाद खाने के लिए, टेस्टी लगता है, ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं तो जाना अच्छा लगता है गुरुद्वारे, अच्छा कुछ मिल जाएगा खाने में, चल जाएंगे, ठीक है? तो जितने यूनिट्स हैं दिमाग में लाओ और ग्लोबलाइजेशन उसमें घुसा के बना दो डिजिटल। ट्रिक्स सीखो मेनली, ठीक है? ट्रिक्स। ओके, बाकी हम कल करते हैं फिर। एंड ऑल्सो टुमारो कम प्रिपेयर्ड विद लिटिल बिट ऑफ दिस यूनिट 2, ताकि मेरे लिए आसान हो जाए, तो मैं जल्दी जल्दी बताना, ओके? ताकि यूनिट 3 भी करें हम।